spiritual family. We welcome you here this morning to Unity Spiritual Center of Portland as we gather to create a consciousness that moves into a culture of oneness, of deeper understanding, and an enlarged view of humanity and our ability in it. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, and I'm a senior minister here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, and we're so happy you are with us. I invite you to snuggle up, to just center yourself, and to know that all of us together are on this journey of spirit. To our newcomers, to those of you who are relatively new to Unity, we welcome you. We invite you into this sacred circle that right now may be in virtual, and yet it's still in consciousness. It's still a building within this quantum field that we live and move and have our being in. If you're new, I invite you to go to our website at unityofportland.org, go down to contact us and fill out your name and email information, and we will send you more information. There's a few things going on here right now. There's a lot of things going on here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, but I want to share a couple things with you. You can still tag in with the White Fragility class that Amanda Kassab is facilitating. It's a book study of looking at this book. It goes through August 24th, 6 to 8 p.m. You can contact administrator at unityofportland.org if you'd like to get into that class. We are looking for volunteers to spruce up our Unity home. Some of it is sanding the railing outside to get ready to paint that. There's other opportunities and things that are going on. We'd love to have you be a part of the spruce up. Just contact Diana at administrator@unityofportland.org. We will be gathering soon to make prayer flags. The project is being developed right now. I know that Wednesday we'll have some type of, whether it's a Zoom gathering, something will happen to begin the process of learning what we're doing and how we're doing it. But our goal is to bring in a larger community and to make prayer flags, to set the intention, the absolute intention of prayer and holding the space of oneness with all of humanity. So you'll hear more about that. And we want to say thank you for all of your gifts, for all that you have done for this community, for allowing us to continue. It is such an important part of the journey as we gather to be able to share this message, to look at the idea of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in their world. So we're blessed to have you with us. We will have coffee and conversation 5 minutes after this service on Facebook. You can see the link into Zoom, and it's also in our e-newsletter, so you can get it there. And we are so blessed.
Joy and peace in my heart, always I feel. Joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed. Joy and peace in my life, I am healed. Oh, joy and peace in my heart, always I feel. Joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed. Joy and peace in my life, I am healed.
Wherever you've been this week, I invite you to center, to move into the core of your being. As we turn within, as we let go, and let a larger understanding of the infinite presence that lives as us, that vibrates in every cell of our being. We hear these words, joy and peace in my heart. I live as joy. I live as peace. I open to a peace that passes all understanding. I don't need to know how healing happens. I don't need to know how an absolute awakening moves through my being and understanding vibrates as me. I simply know that I am one with the infinite presence and power of Spirit. I am created as that very vibration of love. And in the silence, in the sacred breath of the universe, I simply say yes in the silence. From a place of a peace that passes all understanding, a larger vision arises. Joy vibrates. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do that which is to be done by me this day. I am that I am, and we are so blessed. And so it is. Amen.
Joy and peace in my heart, always I feel. Joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed. Joy and peace in my life, I am healed. Ooh, joy in my heart, always I feel. Joy and peace in my mind, God within revealed. Joy and peace in my life, I am healed. Yeah, I'm healed. I stand for love. I stand for peace. I stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope. I stand for you. I stand for love. I stand for peace. I stand for joy and for release. For what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope. I stand for you. You know our world is in great pain. She needs a loving care again. But there are those who fail to see what we have done and what we need. There is a cost for every act, and now there is no turning back. We burn a bridge, we bang a drum. It's time to rise. The time has come to stand for love, to stand for peace. I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope. I stand for you. If you're thinking it's not urgent, that we've got more time to kill, if we're not the ones who'll change things, then for heaven's sake, who will? So we will move and we will climb that mountain one step at a time. We won't be swayed. We will not stop until we made it to the top, where we will stand. We'll stand for love and peace. We'll stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. We'll stand for hope. We'll stand for you. Oh, what is beautiful and true. We stand for hope. I stand for you. Yeah, we rise up, we rise up. Yeah, we stand for joy, rise up and hope and love and life. I stand for you.
Oh, Reverend Sidney, thank you. I stand for love. I stand for hope. I stand for you. Here we are this morning. We're actually on the 6th week of a 7-week journey that you may or may not have even been aware of. But it's this sacred journey. How we've been using the book, How Then Shall We Live? How do we find the beauty and the meaning in life? And I think it's fascinating that at this time of change, of great change, that we're looking at, so what do we do? How do we live? Who is it that we would like to be, and what would we like to experience, along with what would we like to expand? So really quickly, I want to just share with you some of the paths of this journey. The first week we started out with sacred self. The idea that you are sacred and that your journey is sacred wherever it has been and wherever it's going. And the more we can take our view from this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, to the sacred self, living a sacred journey, we find a different place and a different way to journey. The second week we did sacred shadow. Anybody got a few? All of us do. And that shadow part of ourselves, the places that we get stuck, we get angry, we can't seem to forgive or forget or let go or choose larger, that's a sacred part of the journey. It's part of who we are, and that's the cutting edge. That's where life takes us to those edges and invites us to evolve, to transform, to choose something higher. We went from there to sacred love, the idea that everything is love. This journey, who we are, the very energy of the quantum field that we live and move and have our being within, this, quote, God of our understanding, which to me is infinite intelligence, it's divine energy, and that sacred love guides us, and we are the ones who get to be open to it. We move from there into sacred peace. How then shall we choose peace along a journey which is threaded currently with change? Peace, be still. We get to say that to all of the fears and the worries and the things that are happening. And then we move on to sacred life. How are we living this life, this journey? What is it that we desire to choose along this path? And how do we allow our life to enlarge the truth of who we are, to enlarge our understanding? And today it's sacred joy. And I think that's hilarious. I don't know how many of us are at a place of joy, but what I am going to do today is to invite you into a place to recognize that all of this journey, all of life includes the opportunity for joy, to celebrate this magnificent universe and the things we understand, the things that make us angry, the people that we don't know who they are, why they're here, what's happening. But sacred joy is a part of the journey. It is part of it. And the question we're asking is, where is the joy in my life now? Now, this series was not written during the pandemic, but I want to just share with you a couple things. We know from the spiritual perspective that joy is not something that depends on the circumstances around us. I want to just say that again. Joy in our lives does not depend on the circumstances around us, but instead, true joy is a choice that we make within ourselves regardless of what's happening. I was always told joy is the result of an awareness of God in whatever situation we're in. It's a choice in which we consciously decide to live our lives from a certain way of being. And we carry that wherever we go, whatever we do. Jesus said to his disciples, "Ask in my name according to my will, and God will most certainly give it to you." Now that God, as it's translated there, was probably the word Jehovah Jireh, which means this larger essence that will supply all that we need. Your joy will be a river overflowing its banks, was the promise. The universe supplies everything we need. And our joy is an awareness of this sacred journey that we walk. Our goal, I believe, this lifetime is to recognize what gives us joy and to allow ourselves to find joy in the change, in the expansion, in the places that squeeze us. Many times joy is staring us in the face and we don't even realize it. And so as we look at that, I want to invite us to look at a larger view, because I believe joy comes from a larger view of our world. And we're going to move into, in just a moment, we're going to move into spiral dynamics. Now, you just received an email that actually has, you don't need to get it now, an overview of the whole theory of spiral dynamics. But what I want to do first is to share a little bit about it. I spent the whole weekend, at least probably 20 hours a day, immersed in it. I loved it. I'm still looking at it because I want to know, what's a larger view of our world? What is something larger that I can understand and know? And so spiral dynamics, and you'll see the picture that says history through the lens of the spiral, and it shows a spiral. This is a scientific model with different colored stages which represent the evolution of human consciousness. Now, you may be saying, how does this help me? But you'll see in a moment. These are both individually and collectively across all of human history. It's a very accurate model, and Claire Graves, Don Beck, Christopher Cohen, different people developed it at about the same time that Maslow's hierarchy of need was developed. What spiral dynamics is telling us is that there are discrete stages that the human mind passes through. And because our societies are developed out of human minds and mindsets, society takes place inside the human mind. You might say, what does that have to do with me? One of the things that I heard this weekend in one of the classes I took was that right now, what we're going through is a battle of a shift from the mindset, the worldview of nationalism into globalism. And sometimes we get stuck, not sometimes, all of us get stuck at different levels on this spiral. And you can see there, it's beige, purple, red, blue, orange, green, yellow, turquoise, and coral. And you can go ahead and take that down now if you want to, Andy. But that spiral, that's where it's been. So I want to talk about it for a little bit. Because we're hive-like creatures, we develop these complicated societies, and yet they're not actually as complicated as you might think. They're consisted of our worldview. Where's your worldview? What's fascinating with the lower half of this spiral is that usually we can only see our worldview, and everybody else's is wrong. And then we get into clashes. And when huge parts of society and humanity make shifts, you can feel it. You can experience it all the time. There's very different worldviews that make up America today. And my goal today, I want us to enlarge our view of our lives, of ourselves, of what's happening, and to realize we're a part of the evolution of these worldviews, of these ideas. And it's really important to me to understand. Charles Fillmore said one of the most important spiritual principles is understanding. Can I get a larger view of what's happening than my little lens that focuses here? Today we seem to be so polarized. We can begin to understand that what's happening is it's one of these color memes, these thought systems that is clashing with the next thought system. And it is a battle between a worldview of nationalism. I need to have my country, my place, myself. It needs to be this versus a larger view. So this new idea, globalism, has come in. It's entering. And it can be really hard to give up old views. Anybody try it lately? The colors don't mean anything. They represent a set of values. So every color on this spiral represents a set of values. And we're in one of those sets of values. And we have to move to the next level of values, of life views in order to evolve. I mean, they laid it out. When I first heard this, my world changed. Most people, after they become adults, get stuck at one of these stages in life. Anybody notice it? And they get hardened in their thinking. And this is the way life is, and everything else is wrong. They don't have a large enough worldview to expand to a higher level. It isn't the perspective of a larger picture, which is what we're inviting you into. Now, there's obstacles to evolving. Anybody ever notice it? Our ego can get stuck in our old stories, and it stops us from looking at something larger. So when we talk about forgiveness and letting go and opening up, it doesn't mean we don't stand for change, that there isn't accountability. But if we get stuck in old stories, then we don't have the ability to expand our minds and our thoughts. When we talk about racism, it is allowed to exist at certain levels of this spiral. So when in unity you hear, evolve your consciousness and you will evolve the world, we actually do in one large way. Does it change everyone? No. But what it does is add more power, and I'm talking about the power of spirit. It adds more movement to the world view so that we can allow something larger to happen. And then there comes a place when it's just no longer allowed. When a certain percentage of people in society reach the same level, the old ideas fall away because they just no longer are allowed to exist. We've hit that edge. And as one of the teachers said in the class this weekend, and it gets really messy and looks like chaos when it's at that moment. So spiral dynamics is a model models sets of values and cultural worldviews, cultural ways of seeing things, which govern our lives individually and collectively. For me, I wanted to know, what's the roadmap that shows me where I need to go? Where am I moving? What am I doing? And so that becomes so important. Otherwise, and I want to talk about this, it helps me understand what another is doing. If I can say, just like this morning, oh, that's my daughter, she's a teenager. They go through the red meme in teenage years, which means there's one view and they're going to fight to the death for it. Then I know, oh, that's what that is. I don't have to join the fight and go back to that mindset. But what we can do, and this I thought was fascinating, he said, it becomes really important. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck criticizing those people who are less evolved, who are on a different meme than you. But that means you yourself are wasting time, because while you are criticizing others, you are not evolving yourself. If we have gotten stuck in a battle of criticizing and anger, I just invite you, it doesn't mean we don't stand for what we believe. It doesn't mean we don't show up at a protest or wherever you need to be, at a prayer space, at a whatever it is, but it means we look at a higher way of standing. We don't have to get stuck in the battle. We don't have to get stuck in the battle. Instead, we transcend and include. And they're going to show you in some slides now some of these levels, and we're going to really quickly. Beige doesn't even, it's the lowest one. It's the instinctive, a baby is born at beige. It came in, 200 and some thousand years ago. And for a long time, that's where society was. Then it went into purple, which is the magical, the speech is born, the God had the storms, and if you could appease the god, that's where it went. And then it went in about 7,200 years ago into egocentric and this idea. And I want to talk about that because every time we move through a meme, and you may feel like you're in a class, but I want you to take this into your heart. We've been asked to transform. We went through the beige as a baby. We went through the young age in purple as a child, and we were the mystical world. And then we went into both the toddlers, and the red was the terrible twos and the teenage years. And I heard you go back through it as going through menopause, which may very well be true. But every time you leave a stage, you learn something individually, and society learns something collectively. We transcend that level of consciousness, and we include the best of it. So everyone has importance. Red is totalitarian, it's tribal, it's the alpha male, the leader of the wolf pack style of government and organization. You can't build a large functioning society based on one tribal leader dominating everybody. You can't do it. To have the rise of civilization, of society and culture, you need a set of organizing principles. And so, the red, they now say emerged about 10,000 years ago, whether it's 7,200 or 10,000, that's a question. But life is a battleground in that meme, and the world is a jungle, and you have to fight. It demands attention and respect, feels no guilt or remorse, wants total power, cares about no one else, wants to beat, conquer, outfox, dominate others. It is literally that way. So we have to transcend the part of us that resists sharing power, our need to control. We have to transcend the negative emotions we get when somebody questions us. That's part of the red. We have to transcend that whenever we act, regardless of how it affects another. We have to move into the healthy aspects of red, and we have to take them with us, because from red comes the ability to take individual action. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to move. It has the courage to take risks. It has energy needed to overcome the restrictions. And from there, it moves into blue. Blue is the authoritarian, the law and order. This is where religions were really solidified. Somewhere 3,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, somewhere in there, with writing and instructions, literally the culture developed around there. It relies on a belief in an authority figure, some sort of God. And it said, I love this, a stern father figure who lays down the rule of law. And if you cross him, he will punish you. Anybody born into that idea? Organized society, absolutism. Truth cannot be questioned. There are commandments. There are laws based on absolutes. There are codes of conduct, morality, religions. All of the world's religions were formed here. It's a fascinating mindset and culture. Patriotism, nationalistic worldview, I protect. And it's what allowed culture to move on, or societies to move on. You sacrifice yourself in blue, following the principles and procedures that produce good society now. Your reward is somewhere in the future. Children should be educated to follow the rules, to conform, to conserve the system. And yet, what do we have to transcend from this blue? We have to transcend the thinking that there's only one right way. Anytime we think this is the only way, and there's no gray area, there's no larger world, we're back into that blue. It's compulsive and perfectionistic. Anybody get stuck there? Resistance to the chaos of change. Many times we go back from where we've been when change happens. We just get rigid. This is the way it has to be. This is the way I'm showing up. No, I don't want any of that. Don't allow chaos to happen. Chaos is the falling apart of a larger world order into a larger way of seeing. So this smaller world order is literally a movement of spirit. The universe is inspiring us to go forward. It also, blue, what you have to transcend is the tradition above progress. We've always done it this way. We do it this way. What you include when you transcend this is you recognize principle and order. There's an underlying order in the universe. We develop codes of conduct, ways that we want to show up in integrity, fair laws and penalties. Literally, it's understanding the order and taking a basic order, but one that's not stuck in the only way. But when do we evolve? We evolve when there is a push and a pull in our lives. Think about this. When in your life does chaos evolve, which the push means life isn't working, the pressure of unsatisfactory life conditions, the pressure of a world, and we just say no. And then there's a pull. There's an innate knowing that there's something more here. I'm more. We're more. There's more here. That's what happens between every one of these memes. If you notice, and this idea, well, let me go back. What do you think the coronavirus is doing? It's enough of a change in life conditions to cause a major shift of everyone on this planet. It is enough of a push to require people to listen to the pull of their hearts and to open. And I loved this statement. It said, when shift happens, it's sometimes ugly and painful. Anybody see that happening? Anybody see it in their lives? Now, with the blue traditionalism, some of the problems are the rules and the hierarchies created oppressive systems. They created systems of oppression that were allowed to live here. And at some point, absolutism becomes less effective. We realize the world isn't black and white, and the interaction with other cultures introduces new perspectives. So we're called to shift from blue to orange. There's tension. Blue wants to cling to the accepted norms and truths to maintain stability and stay with nationalism. Does anybody see that? Orange is innovative, independent thinking. And orange, often we aren't even aware which meme we're in because we live it. But orange is this prosperity, upward mobile achievement, success, high expectations. It comes in with images and results and manipulation often to get outcomes. Competition is the way of life, being a winner, being the best. The number of kids right now that desire to be a movie star, I need to be more, I need to be more, living the good life. I want the house, I want 2 cars, I want this, I want this. It is success-based, it is achievement-oriented, it is the next step, and it's not wrong in our human development. But in that meme, you start acting in your own selfish interests, and you're playing the game to win. And it's a shift. But you stop being the little, the good little girl, the good little boy that you were told to be. Be a good girl, be a good boy. You stop that. But often we move into consumerism, materialism, big business. There's a separation between church and state. It goes into technology and democracy, and which actually I thought was interesting because they said blue, which is more theocratic. It has a basis in God. And democracy is moved into and really grounded in the orange. But groups don't really matter. The best man wins. Hard work is valued. Self-help is in here. There's confidence. There's optimism. But it's about winning. And, most of us in the developed first world countries, such as this country, I was told this weekend, are stuck somewhere between the orange and the green, and yet the more educated, others are stuck between the blue and the orange, so they want to stay with this traditional method, and they want success, they want to win. And so it's important to know these ideas, because as we look at moving up, so 300 years ago, this idea of industrial revolution, of movement, of building society came in. And about 150 years ago, some say 200, the green meme began. And its essence is back to serving the collective. Instead of me, it's the whole. Orange takes capitalism up to the high, and then you see the limits, because it doesn't work in that way. In our lives, many people have gotten, I got the house, I got the car, I got this, I got that. And our souls say, what more? Or we didn't get it, and we say, what's wrong with me? It's not about that. Instead, it's a move and a shift to this sensitive, how is all of humanity working? We can't solve all of the world's problems by more money. There is more to life than money. So we move from that orange meme into the green. In fact, this is what a quote: we can't solve all the world's problems by more money, by more factories, more economy, more pollution, by more Wall Street shenanigans. That will not solve the world's problem. Green emerges when money and success fails to feed the human spirit. We're moving into something larger. Money does not buy happiness. And so to be able to open to something larger, instead, we begin to say, what would happen if instead of competing, I cooperated? What would happen if it wasn't about just my success, but the whole community? It takes more education to move into a green aspect, and it begins to be caring and compassion, environmental, highly accepting, a group of equals, no matter what gender or race, any of it. Racism cannot exist at this level. We're moving into a level that shifts humanity and worldviews. Spirituality actually replaces the desire for religion and organized religion. Instead, we begin saying, I'm here to be a part of a more human community on earth and to cooperate, to work together. It recognizes the validity of other cultures and species, and it's all about equality and peace for all. And it reacts to the injustices of blue and orange. So it says no to materialism. It begins to say no to life that only deals with where am I going and what am I doing and the I. And it moves instead to humanity. It's encapsulated, the whole worldview would be love for humanity. Now, the interesting thing is we're stuck between orange and green, many of us, or we're in that place of movement. I don't want to say stuck. And this movement right now is moving us to say there's something more. And there is. Because one of the things that we'll find as the evolution continues, and the yellow meme, which is a transformation, it's a huge monumental shift in consciousness, is where we drop the fear. We drop the idea that they're bad, and instead we find something more. So when I look at a life right now and where we are, I recognize that when you see humanity fighting, I want this nationalism, I want globalism, I want our factories and our competition. That's the important. I want humanity to succeed. It is humanity in a state of evolution. It is a lifting of mind, heart, body, spirit, and it's a natural progression. One of the things I realized as I looked at, so what are those other ones where that big leap happens? And I'm going to go for a minute into yellow, which is one world. It's integrative. It begins to literally integrate systems and ideas and an understanding of interdependence and where we're moving. And then it came about 50 years ago, excuse me. And the turquoise was first noticed 30 years ago. And it's individual, it's collective, it's holistic. It moves back into a group. But when I look at this, I want to say, what is it that I need to learn? I want to say, this is what they said in one of the classes. We become open to the beauty of existence. We become open to the value of not only ourselves, but every other being. We realize there are different perspectives, different levels of transformation, and we move forward with absolute faith in the highest we know. John Lewis was a perfect example for this. You know, it says in one of my classes, it said, you no longer think people are crazy for their actions. Instead, you realize they act that way because of their perspectives, their worldview, or meme. One of the things he got as a very young boy, and I don't know how, but he got a green view of the world in a farm, feeding chickens and preaching to the chickens in Alabama, in Troy, Alabama, I believe it was. And he was considered, they loved him, his family loved him, but they also considered him a little useless because his idea was so large. He, in reading his book, one of his books this week on the idea of the values, he said, I have complete faith in a universal God, a universal presence that is within every being. And if they're fighting me, they just haven't realized it yet. And there's a chance for them to change. But they will never change me because I know that all of humanity has this. All of humanity is designed as that wholeness, as that beauty, as that value. He was literally living within the green meme in a part of the world that couldn't even begin to see it. But he had the courage and lost the fear and just simply stood in it. And he said about the third time that he was beaten, that all the fear left him. And what he really did was move into yellow, where he stood in those beliefs, and then you also know how to get out of them. And he spent the rest of his life in Congress saying, we must do this. We must take care of these people. We must find a higher way. Your life right now is filled with these memes. I invite you to read the Spiral Dynamics paper I sent just so you have an idea. When you run up against an edge and it hurts, I invite you to open your heart, to know that you're moving. You have within you everything you need. The pull is there. Right now, the push is there. When you feel your view collapsing, you may go back a little bit. You may be in fear. Let it go. You're going to a place of no fear. Life is not meant to be lived from a place of fear. Life is to be lived from a place of expansion, of love as the underlying reality of who you are. You're right where you need to be with all of the people around you that are exactly where you need to be, and humanity needs us to be to evolve to a larger place. Are we putting gasoline on the fire through our anger and getting stuck where we are? Or are we open to the transformation of humanity by simply saying, I don't understand, but I am willing to understand, love, life in the presence of Spirit? Thank you.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand, but now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it go. And this is what you have to say. I'll release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am here in the Spirit, I'm free, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No, no, no struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. You know I'm free, free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide, because I'm holy, 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 holy. I know there's no more struggle, no more fear, and no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I'm here for God. I'm free in the Spirit, so free. I'm free in the Spirit. Yeah, I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Oh, yes. I am free in the Spirit. I'm only here for God. I want to share with you that I will be doing Spirit Break only on Wednesdays now at 12:30 on Facebook Live. I invite you to join me with that. You know, Lao Tzu, the great Chinese mystic, once said, "Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there's nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you." We came to expand those worldviews. And I know that that first tier thinking is survival, and the second tier thinking is being. It goes to a place of I am. And I invite you this week to allow that I am to move with you, to hold you, and to recognize that we will be learning a new way of a new economy. Right now, we're so grateful for your gifts. We're grateful that you are a part of this transformation of the planet. We don't know where it's going or what it looks like, but we know that there is a divine order and a plan of this universe. As you hold gifts, as you hold sacred space, as you know this, and I invite you, whether you do it by texting 77977 or that number to that number, and texting Unity of Portland, all one word, lowercase, and getting on our automatic giving, or you decide to give a one-time gift, I just invite you to be a part of that movement of the Spirit. You can send in a check. You can go to our website and give from there, unityofportland.org. I just invite you to recognize that we are all a part of humanity in a larger system. And the blessing we have is divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And we know that divine love as us, humanity as a whole, multiplies. It blesses us. It reminds us of the truth of our being, and it pulls us into a larger vision, into love, as love this day. And we are so blessed, and so it is. Amen. And we are going to end this service with this unity prayer, because we recognize that we always live and move and have our being within this place of spirit, this wholeness. And we know that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.